Baruch atah asherah anat malacha ha'olam asher kiddushanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehitatif latzitzit. Good morning, friends. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thanks, Andrew. How are you doing today? Good morning, Dawn. Good morning, Peripheral Cereal. That's a great name. Peripheral Cereal? Excellent. Om Shanti. Om. Good morning. How are you all? What are you up to today? Good Shabbos. Here we are together in this tiny little virtual place. You've been up since 5 a.m. Me too. Although I did take a nap. I haven't actually gotten up yet. Do I practice magic? It depends on what you think magic is. Shema Yisrael Asher Eloheinu Yahweh Echad. Vahafta et anat Elohecha ובכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך ובחיו הדברים האלה אשר נוחים מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך וחיה כי ויחיה אלוהיך אל הארץ אשר נשבע לאבותיך לאברהם ליצחק וליעקב לתת לך ערים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית ובתים מלאים כל טובה אשר למילתה וברות עצובים אשר לא עשת כהרים וזיתים אשר לא נתת והלכת ושבת הישמר לך פן תשכח את יהוה אשר תשכח מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. Good morning. So today we repeat some old words. And we repeat these words because the words ask us to repeat them. You shall bind them as a symbol on your hand and let them serve as a sign on your forehead and inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. So we repeat these words so that we can remember our roots so that we can be connected to a tradition which is far older than us and will last far longer than we will. And so we place ourselves in a lineage and on a tree of life, growing and dying endlessly. Good morning. Hello. How are you doing today, Sunkiss? So, we can continue to read from this story of Atrahasis. Right, so I have this little book. It's called the Enuma Elish, because the main story in it is the Enuma Elish. But where we're at now is we are reading the tale of Atrahasis, which is the tale of Noah. Good morning, Gabe. Good morning, Dustin Rousseau. Is that how you pronounce that? Yeah. Jean Rousseau. Good morning. So, where we left off in this tale of Atrahasis, the Anunnaki and the Igigi were at war. And the lesser gods who had been enslaved to dig the ditches, to dig the riverbeds of the Tigris and Euphrates River, those lesser gods decided to rebel. And they all said, 3,600 years of slavery is enough. Let's go and surround the house of Enlil and tell him that we are working no more. And so the Igigi surround the house, and then the Anunnaki confer together, and they say, what should we do? These gods, they're going to invade. They're rebelling. They refuse to work. And they said, I know what we should do. Let's build them men. Let's give them men who can toil in the riverbeds instead of the Igigi, and the men will serve the gods. And the Anunnaki and the Igigi, they come to agreement on this and say, yes, that's what we should do. We're going to make humans to be the lower classes. Good morning, Kate. How are you? So nice to see you. So, now we're going to read about the creation of humankind through the goddess midwife. The midwife goddess, Mummy. Here's how it goes. Well, I'll read you the last bit that we read before. We must create a creature who can bear the burden of the gods. Belet Ili, the womb goddess, is here. Have her bear the offspring. That man will be the one who performs the labor of the gods. So, they called the goddess, the midwife, shrewd Mami, saying, you are the womb goddess. Give rise to the species of man. Give rise to the primitive human to perform the labor of gods. Let him be the one to bear the yoke, who does Elil's work, so that man will be the one who performs the labor of the gods. Nintu raised her voice to be heard, speaking to the high gods. It is not best that I fashion him. It is better done by Enki, for it is by his efforts that things are made free from error. But if he provides me with clay, I will certainly carry it out. Enki raised his voice to be heard, speaking to the high gods. Know that on the 1st, 7th, and 15th of the month I will conduct a water purification, and one god will be slain. Thus the gods will be cleansed through these holy ablutions. Then Nintu will combine the clay with his flesh and blood, so that a being, divine and immortal, will come from the clay. Then we will hear the heartbeat rhythms from henceforth. Let the spirit arise into being from out of the divine flesh, but let her relate to man, while he is alive, of his condition, so that they will never forget that the spirit is eternally made. And all gathered in the assemblage gave their affirmation of the holy Anunnaki, who were the determiners of destiny. Then it was on the 1st, 7th, and 15th of the month that he conducted a water purification through immersion. The wise god Lawela was chosen to be slain at the congress. Nintu combined together the clay with his flesh and blood, so that they heard the heartbeat rhythms from henceforth. They had to sacrifice a god. They had to sacrifice a god in order to make man. Isn't that interesting? Where did this motif come from? The sacrifice of God redeems humanity. So there's an interesting difference between these old Mesopotamian myths and the Abrahamic story of Jesus, right? Originally, the god needs to be sacrificed in order to create man. right? But in the time of Jesus, man had already been around, right? History had begun. There was plenty of history. And so the myth, right, the motif of the sacrifice god was transformed from that of creating man to that of redeeming man, right? Jesus was sacrificed so that the kingdom of heaven could be brought down on earth, right? And the sins of mankind could be redeemed. But we have this motif 2,000 years earlier, except instead of redemption, it is creation. It's an interesting development. It took 2,000 years to move from creation to redemption. The wise god Ilawa was chosen to be slain at the Congress. Nintu combined together the clay with his flesh and blood, so that they heard the heartbeat rhythms from henceforth, and the spirit arose into being out of the divine flesh. Nintu related to man while he was alive of his condition, so they would never forget that the spirit is eternally made. Then, after having done this, she combined together the clay. Then she convened the high gods, both Anunnaki and Igigi, and she caused her spittle to dribble into the heap of clay. Then Mami raised her voice, speaking to the high gods. I have done precisely the task that was given me to do, and you have slain a god altogether along with his mind. Now I have brought you release from your tiresome tasks, and have caused your burdens to be shifted onto mankind, while you have given humanity the capacity for speaking. Thus I have released the bonds, and brought you freedom. Hearing every word spoken with relief, they kissed her feet. Until now we have referred to you by the name Mami, but henceforth you shall be called Mistress of all the gods. And I think at that we will conclude. So mankind has been created. Humankind has been created through the sacrifice of the god, what was it, Lawela? And the careful ministrations of the midwife goddesses. We have man made from clay. Very similar to Genesis, but also quite different. Quite different. Isn't it interesting, Dustin? I think it's very interesting. So, good morning, Dr. Punk. What are you up to today? You have work? No, you don't have work. It's Saturday. Happy Saturday. What do I call my religion? Nothing. Absolutely nothing, Savannah. I don't call it anything. I wouldn't even call it a religion. It's a question I get a lot, right? Usually the question isn't what do you call your religion, it's like, what religion is this? What religion are you, right? And then I can explain, well, my grandparents were Holocaust survivors and my mother was a refugee, and so I guess I'm Jewish because there's trauma in my DNA, right? And the history of the Jewish people is my history, therefore I must be Jewish. And so I say the name of Yahweh over and over again, even though Yahweh is like this terrible asshole that just causes lots of trauma, even in the stories. And I don't know what religion I am. I wish I could tell you. You're going to a dino exhibit with your niece. Where? In which museum? Thank you, Gary. I don't know whether to ask you all for more likes or be like, enough is enough. We're good. It's okay. There can be 19 people here and we can all just have a nice time together and we don't have to worry about what the algorithm thinks. But I do worry about what the algorithm thinks. Anyway. The neighbor is having a massive yard sale and you're hiding inside. You're not going to go... The neighborhood. Oh, the entire neighborhood is having a yard sale. And you're not going to try to get old VHS tapes and... cracked dishes and a Stairmaster that your neighbor no longer wants that you can put in your basement and never use. Thank you, Batya. Shabbat Shalom. You're trying to navigate religion. You're mainly Native American, so nature is your religion. I mean, religion is a Western concept, right? I remember meeting a Palestinian doctor who told me that religion was a word that only applied to the Abrahamic faiths. The only religions in the world were Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and all of the other traditions, they weren't religion because they weren't formed by the fear of divine retribution or whatnot, right? And I think there's some truth to that. I think religion is actually not as flexible a word as we think it is, and that there are many other traditions that guide people's lives that are, in a certain sense, not religious. right? Like maybe the traditions that I use, the little rituals that I use throughout my day-to-day life. I'm not sure if they're religious or not. I don't know what religion means. You're Melungian, so your tribes don't accept me. You don't belong anywhere. I'm familiar with that feeling, Savannah. I'm not sure what the word Melungian means. I assume it's some sort of racial term. Mixed racial term. I'm sorry that you don't feel accepted. Oh my god. That's perfect. Oh, that was so good. I want to wear that all day long. Good morning, Teresa. Thank you for the roses. Am I planning on making another video on the river near my home? Sure. Yes. Maybe I'll go there today and film that. That sounds like a good idea. I've been trying to figure out, because I have a day today. Like I have free time. It's Saturday. I can make a film today if I want to, and I think I want to. So I just have to think about what I'm gonna make it about. Yeah. In any case, yes, feeling like you don't belong. I resonate strongly. Also known as metis. Metis means wisdom. In what language does metis mean wisdom? I think in Greek. Metis. Indigenous peoples in Canada. Interesting. Metis goddess, yes. Metis goddess. One of the original titans. Yes, wisdom, skill, or craft in ancient Greek. Interesting how words work. Metis is French. Metis. Mixed race. We have all these words. Yeah, racial terms. Good morning, Rodina. Good morning. Yeah, I've never felt like I fit anywhere, right? Like, I think that's like part of the experience of being trans is like, for my entire childhood, I didn't know that I was trans, or I didn't know that what I was experiencing was gender dysphoria. I just thought it was weird, right? It didn't fit in, right? And I live in this strange fringe culture, right? Commune in the middle of the mountains, in the middle of the forest, and I often feel like a foreigner. But I don't think there is any place that I could call a home culture. Well, I'm glad, Savannah. I'm glad you're here. I don't want to pray to my maker, no, no. I just want to be feeling free. Not just who I am, but the pink and golden land and that wide, wild sky over me. Help me to the sun, hey, I'm looking everywhere. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. Pray, and it's not much good to talk, better to walk it. Ooh, not much good to take, better to give. We are done, forgiven, and forgotten of our sins. And I promise you, my friends, all that dies will live again. So, pardon, God and Mom, what I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. Pray. I love Allah, Allah made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Asher, Asher, made good, and Anat, Anat made bad. Eloheinu made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. I love Allah. God made, God made, God made. But I don't want to pray to my maker. No, I just want to be what I see. Not like in a book or the leaves of trees that shook from a word that means only not a thing. No, no. Pardon, God and Mom, what I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. Pray. I love Allah, Allah made love. And Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Asher, Asher, made good. And Anat, Anat made bad. Eloheinu made love. And Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. I love Allah. God made, God made, God made. me. A bit of both, Savannah. I've modified the song. I added the Canaanitic and Abrahamic God names because the word God in English I don't think is flexible enough to convey the various concepts that I want to convey with the various names of older versions of God. But the lyrics were largely written by an American band, Edward Sharp and the Magnetic Zeros. I'm sure you've heard their music. It's very popular on TikTok. They're the band that wrote that viral song Home, right? And what was it? Edith... It's another artist that did a cover of it, and the cover did really well. Memes. Anyway, it's a good song. Yes. So you can listen to their version of the song. It's pretty different, right? Because they have this like Appalachian folk rock thing going. I don't know what music around it. Folk rock, folk pop. It's a different pace. They've got instruments. Anyway, you could listen to it. It's a good song. Yeah, so you saw them live in the park here. That's great. Yeah. I like that song, that little piece of theology. I mean, it's probably the most compelling piece of modern theology that I've ever encountered, right? Like, I think it so succinctly captures the way that I want to be religious, right? A lot of farm-dressed folk hippies. Very good. Yes, very good, very good. Indeed. Yeah, so they think about God the way that I think about God, I suppose. Or at least that song does. It's a funny word, God. Very funny word. Anyhow, now we're going to say Arati. The word Arati means light or flame in Sanskrit. Here we have our little flame light. And we'll repeat the various names of God. You missed most of them, Taryn, but we still have Arati left. We're going to say Arati. We're going to repeat the names of God. Thanks for the fires, Dr. Brunk. I really liked that crown. It was very high quality. The animation, it was just really good, and it matched my scarf extremely well. The inside is blue. I really like this scarf. I just found it in my closet. Anyway, yes, I think that flower crown is probably my favorite little animation that you've bought me. This Ouroboros. What about this Ouroboros? It's a good one. This is from the Chrysopoeia of Cleopatra. Cleopatra was an Alexandrian alchemist in the 2nd century A.D. Famous for... are her manuscripts the first depictions of alchemical flasks? They might be. That might be Maria the Jewish. It's Jewess. There's all these interesting alchemists from Alexandria. You still hear me from our last connection. When was our last connection? Yes, it's always a scarf. I mean, I suppose I wear some robes sometimes, but most of the time, scarf. But I haven't worn this scarf on the stream very much at all, because it was hiding in a dusty place and I had to wash it. Anyway, Arati. We will say the names of God. And in so doing, feel connected to one another. I think you were early greens in the morning. Eating greens. Oh, yes. You know, I've stopped eating breakfast on stream as frequently because the grains that I keep in my room have become less satisfying, and I've wanted heavier things. I'm going to go downstairs after we finish praying, and I'm going to eat some pork that my partner made. But Arati first. Arati goes like this. And it means light or flame in Sanskrit, in case you were wondering. Jaya Jayarti Vina Vinayaka Vina Vinayaka Shri Ganesha Jaya Jayarti Subramanya Subramanya Kartikeya Jaya Jayarti Venugopala Venugopala Venurola Papa Vidura Navanita Chora, Jaya Jayarti Venkantaramana, Venkantaramana Sankatarana, Sitaramma Radhe Shama, Jaya Jayarti Gauri Manohara, Gauri Manohara Bhavani Sankara, Samba Sadashiva Maheshwara, Jaya Jayarti Raja Rajeshwari, Raja Rajeshwari Tripura Sundari, Mahalakshmi Mahasaraswati, Mahakali Mahashakti, Jaya Jayarti Anjaneya, Anjaneya Hanumanta, Jaya Jayarti Dattatreya, Dattatreya Trimutra Vatara, Jaya Jayarti Adityaya, Adityaya Bhaskaraya, Jaya Jayarti Sanistaraya, Sanistaraya Bhaskaraya, Jaya Jayarti Sankarachaya, Sankarachaya Advaita Gurave, Jaya Jayarti Sadgurunata, Sadgurunata Shivananda, Jaya Jayarti Vishnu Devananda, Vishnu Devananda, Vishnu Devananda, Jaya Jayarti Agastya Munaye, Agastya Munaye Shriyama Priyaye, Jaya Jayarti Ayapa Samine, Dharma Shastave, Jaya Jayarti Jesus Gurave, Moses Gurave, Buddha Gurave, Jaya Jayarti Muhammad Gurave, Guru Nanak Gurave, Samastya Grubho Namaha, Jaya Jayarti Venugopala. Natatra Suyobati Natandrakaratam Nima Vidyobati Kutoy Magni Twameva Vantamanamanti Sarvam Tasya Basya Samidam Vivanti Gange Kayamane Kaiva Govari Saraswati Narmade Siddhika Veriya Namastitam Namo Namaha. You know, Savannah, I live on a commune and we run a farm, and so our diet is fairly unusual. And we do hold a lot of food values. I hold my food values a lot looser than most of the people that I live with. But of course, I'm a dumpster diver, and all of my content is about food. But I don't believe in restrictions, right? And I certainly don't have any religiously held beliefs that impact the way that I eat. But I do eat consciously and carefully. I eat food that my family grows, right? And I don't eat as much food that my family does not grow. Not out of belief necessarily, but out of practicality, because they believe that they need to grow it in order to live a fulfilling life, and I believe that I need to live with them in order to live a fulfilling life. And so I eat the food that they grow, whether or not I want to be eating it. Twameva mata chapita twameva bandusha saka twameva vidya ravinan twameva sarvam mama deva kayena vacha manasendriyarva buddhyat manava prakrite sabhavad karomyadyad mangalam parasmahe narayana iti sarmar payami Sarvadharmam pravichayam amikam savanam vija aham sva sarva papayo mokshayami masucha. Whatever actions I perform with my body, speech, mind, senses, my nature, my intellect, or my emotions, all these I dedicate to you. Thank you so much for being here today. We've got one more prayer before we conclude, and that is Kaddish. And as I say every day, the word Kaddish means holy or sacred. You should make a live stream at night with a fire outside while I pray. That's not a bad idea, right? There's plenty of things that I could do that would bring more views to this stream, right? That would gather more clicks and engagement and attention. And sometimes I consider doing those things, right? Like maybe not saying the same prayers every day, maybe not doing precisely the same thing every morning, because it gets boring. But what I have concluded, what I have decided, I suppose, is that really I'm doing this for myself, right? It's a very selfish act. This is how I like to start my mornings. I like to have this rhythm. And even though it's not necessarily the most cinematographic or the most compelling content, it's the content that I can do reliably and that that gives me the kind of emotional resonance that I want in my life. So that's why I stream this stream instead of something that's more compelling. Right, and I'll go out today. This is my first day in a long time I can just like think about making a video that I might want to make. So I get to be creative and a little freer because I have some spare time. It's nice. So I will try to do some things that get the views. I'm going to do a farm tour because I've never actually done like a real legit farm tour. But I think this stream is going to stay the way it is because I like it like that. So we're going to say Kaddish, like we've said every morning for the last 2 years together. Kaddish means holy, means sacred. And in this particular iteration, it means grief, right? It doesn't mean grief, but this is a prayer of grief, a prayer of mourning. And we can mourn the people that we have lost, and the way of life that we have lost, the dreams that will not be fulfilled, the romances that will not be rekindled. And we can mourn them. And we can say these words together. And in so doing, we can be in connection with one another. And that connection can maybe, in some tiny little bit, allow us to release the things that we are holding on to that continue to cause us to suffer. And we can grieve them, truly. Am I going through a breakup? No. I wouldn't say that I am. I mean, my relationships are always changing and developing. But I haven't broken up with someone in a very long time. I'm grateful for that. So the words of the mourner's Kaddish. They go like this. Yid Gadal, Vid Kadash, Shema Rabba. Bialmati Frachiote, Viam Lichmal, Chute, Bachayachonu, Viomechonu, Chayedi Kolbe Israel, Bagala, Visman Kari, Fimru. Amen. Yehe Shemei Rabba Mevarach Lialam on me on Maya Yit Barach Vishtabach Vit Baari Irman Vit Nase Vitadar Vitale Vitalal Shemei de Kudisha Berichu Lealam in Kolber Chata Vishirata Tushbechata Venechimata Diami Ran Bialma Vimru Amin. Yehe Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya Vechaim Aleinu V'Yocho Yisrael Vimru Amin. Ose Shalom Bimramav Huya Ase Shalom Aleinu V'Yocho Yisrael Vimru Amin. Oh, say shalom b'mramav, oy say shalom aleinu, v'al chol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. I have to go too, Savannah. It's time to go. You're delightful, and I hope you have a beautiful day too. I hope you all have a very beautiful day. It's that. Whatever you must do or want to do today, that you do it well. I will see you here Monday. I won't be streaming tomorrow, but I'll see you here on Monday to say these words once more.